then you need a paintbrush. For the paintbrush, I actually took the white, again mixed with a little bit of chocolate, but I did not mix it all the way because I want it to look like wood grain. So I took a little bit of the chocolate and mixed it in, but kind of like I did with the hooves. I didn't mix it in all the way because I want it to look like a wood grain, so it has kind of a marbled effect. And then what you want to do is roll it. And you want to taper as you roll. So one end is thick, okay, and one end is thin. Like a paintbrush handle. Okay, so here you have it. That looks like a paintbrush handle. Now we need the paintbrush itself. And for that I did a brown paintbrush. Brown bristles. Okay, so take a piece. You want it to be bigger. The ball is going to be bigger than this end. So whatever your end happens to be. And the size of the paintbrush doesn't really matter. You don't want it too big. This looks like it's a little long. Let me get my ruler. It's a little long for our paint cans that we've got there. So I'm actually going to cut it off a little bit. Let me grab my knife and cut this just a bit. That bit right here. Right there. I think that's better. We kind of want we want it on the small side. Because our little ponies, you know, not that big. Okay. So, get that into a ball and then into the teardrop. Okay. This is what I want, this guy. Because I want to make marks into it, like so. Right? So these are the bristles. And then what I want to do is I want to cut one little piece off here. So this paintbrush looks like it's you know how they do at the end. The bristles get apart at the end. Always have one bristle that doesn't make it. I get the cheap paintbrushes. Okay. Give it a curl and attach it there with water so it looks like a paintbrush, right? So when that is completely dry, I attached it with water and that's what it looks like when it was completely dry. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to use the sugar sheets that I promised you that are brand spanking new. They've been out for, I don't know, maybe 2 months, a month, something like that. Fabulous. You can use them with isomalt if you want, if you're, familiar with isomalt. It's very hot sugar, very, very hot. I don't like to burn myself, and I'm very much a klutz, in case you haven't noticed. So I try to use gelatin. Would they work with gelatin? Well, I had to see, and yeah, they sure do, and they work reasonably well, I think. So what I'm doing is I've got 2 parts water to 1 part gelatin. So right now I'm working with like 2 tablespoons of water to almost a tablespoon of gelatin. It's not fussy. If it's not quite, a tablespoon of gelatin, don't worry about it. But I'm just going to sprinkle the gelatin in. I'm just using Knox brand, but you can use Great Lakes or whatever brand you like. The only thing that doesn't work is you can't use vegetarian gelatin agar powder. It doesn't work. But kosher works really well. Kosher gelatin does work. So the bovine works. So just mix it in until it don't take no more. I just keep sprinkling it in. It'll take close to a tablespoon. And I'm going to let it sponge, which means the water gets absorbed. The gelatin absorbs all the water it sponges in, and when you tap it, it actually feels like a sponge. And once it does, then we're going to pop it into the microwave for about 15 seconds. Normally, I only do about 10 seconds until it just melts. The thing about these sugar sheets is they're used to isomalt, which is 300 and some odd degrees. it takes high heat in order for the sugar to melt and transfer onto your medium. So we want to get this as hot as we can get it without boiling it, but as hot as we can get it so that the sheet will transfer onto our gelatin.